We burned all the witches, we set the world on fire. We sang with candles in our hands. And this could be an anthem of what we're coming to. Giving guilty credit to you. We cast out the demons, then we'll drink another round. 5 seconds.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an important night here in Collegiate Dota. I'm Toffees, joined by my co-caster Gorgon the Wonder Cow in an elimination match that is right in front of us. The winner goes to playoffs, the loser goes back to studying. From the Razor group, we feature Iowa, an 8-5 versus RIT, 6-6. Now, based off those records, you might wonder how RIT is contending for a spot. Well, their second half records are quite similar at 4-2 and 3-3, meaning the winner would hold the better record via tiebreakers in the case of RIT. What that comes down to is very simple. The math sounds crazy, but at the end of the day, if University of Iowa takes this win, whether it's in 2 or 3, they advance. If Rochester Institute of Technology takes it in 2 or 3, they will have a game advantage and an equal record to University of Iowa, thereby securing a tiebreak and advancing them to the playoffs. This is the last week before we start the war that will lead to DreamHack Austin, and I'm excited to be bringing it to you on behalf of our sponsors. Twitch, a big shout to them for sponsoring the CSL and featuring our matches weekly. We're proud to be affiliated with the largest gaming stream provider in the world. Also, Asus Republic of Gamers is the presenting sponsor of the CSL this year. Asus makes some of the world's best gaming PCs, laptops, and monitors. Asus is funding the season's travel to DreamHack and our prize pool for the entire year. Be sure to follow their social medias like @Asus_ROG and thank them for sponsoring the CSL. Gorgon, it looks like it is going to be quite a night here in the Collegiate Star League. What are you looking forward to the most? All right, let's get that fixed real quick here with Gorgon. Make sure that he can hear us and talk a little bit about where the draft is going right now. He's not a big surprise on the bans, as we do see OD taken off the table right away. It seems that he's just, I mean, if you look at the reviews, stuff that came from Merlini and some other folks, Nahaz, a lot of them sort of put OD on this really high rate of win, a very high rate of pick, as well as ban, and it seems like the college scene sees it the same way.
Can you hear me now,
I
Mr.
can hear you now. The
we
reconnect
go.
worked wonders. That said, we saw the OD banned out. Not a big surprise there. What are you looking for in terms of moving through this best of 3?
Well, it's going to be very obviously dependent on what these teams are comfortable playing. Death Prophet is a very popular hero right now. OD is somebody that I would expect to be probably banned out all 2 or 3 of these games. But other than that, there's a lot of opportunity. And now apparently RIT has a comfortable Earth Spirit player. So that's probably another hero that we'll see banned out next game if this player turns out to be pretty decent.
Yeah, he's incredibly powerful right now. I think that if I talked a little about Merlini's projections as well as some others, and a lot of people sort of put Earth Spirit as the #1 banned hero expected at the majors that are starting up this week. Do you agree with that? Do you think that Earth Spirit is just too big to allow to go through?
In the pro level, yeah, definitely too big. Though I will say one of the reasons Earth Spirit's ban rate is so high this patch is partially because Invoker was so popular, and Invoker does need an uncontested mid lane, ideally, so that he can get those levels and he is not forced out of lane at all. Earth Spirit is an immensely powerful rotating support to apply pressure onto a mid lane. I would expect Io to continue to get banned more than Earth Spirit at the major. Io's been the most banned hero in Dota for on and off pretty much the entire history of Dota since Io was added to the game. I don't necessarily expect that to drop off anytime soon, but Earth Spirit is definitely going to be up high on that list.
Interesting. So do you think that the changes to Invoker will affect the Earth Spirit pick rate at all, or do you think that the changes, as they take away, there was more of a pub nerf than a pro nerf?
I think that the changes made to Invoker might impact the Earth Spirit ban rate very slightly, but I don't think that'll make a noticeable change on the pick rate.
Okay.
He's still an extremely valuable hero, no matter who you are mitting, right? But Invoker was particularly susceptible. So is OD, by the way, particularly susceptible to rotations from supports.
All right, I like it. Now let's go back over what else has been picked up. Death Prophet and Undying here. So it looks like University of Iowa going for a afterlife theme to a certain extent. We'll see if they stick with that. Spectre banned out. The Vengeful Spirit, another hero that has been very popular. I feel like this patch has been interesting because we see a lot of supports that are also becoming sort of popular to knock off of the pool. In terms of the Earth Spirit, the Venge, there's a lot of heroes like the Omni OD combo is ridiculous. That there's a lot of supports that really, really help. I think more so in later than in last patches, make these sort of popular cores really sing.
Yeah, I think about every other patch you have a one or two very, very popular supports that just absolutely tear it up. Vengeful Spirit is the most picked hero on this patch, and not usually, I can't say that necessarily, but as far as I'm aware, usually the most picked hero on a patch is a support or somebody who is multifunctional. He can go to multiple positions, and the reason for that is the best carries tend to get banned. The best cores tend to get banned a lot more, which leaves the best supports to be picked up early. I will say that the Venge ban is not at all surprising. The Witch Doctor ban, also not at all surprising. Those are two of the four most picked heroes in professional Dota. Also very successful heroes all around. The Shadow Shaman is not a particularly valuable hero this patch if win rates and win impact are to be believed. But for University of Iowa, it's probably just a comfort zone thing. They do seem to be looking to do some early game push with the Death Prophet and Undying Tombstone. Likely, they did not want to go up against counter push or a potential split push strategy that would utilize the Serpent Wards.
So we are going to see, like you said, the Banana Mancer brought out. It feels like Rochester Institute is sort of setting themselves up for some solid mid game to protect somebody in the late game farm. Does this seem like it's shaping up into an Animage game or an Alchemist game of some sort, or do you think that they're going to go really and commit to that core mid game?
I think they're going to go for a Gyrocopter.
How do you feel about the Gyrocopter currently, sort of how he fits into this meta?
He's good. Gyrocopter is good, but he's not overwhelming, right? He does what he's supposed to do. He comes out pretty well balanced, I think, in my opinion. I haven't heard anybody notable making decries of Gyrocopter being broken. Right. He wins just slightly less than he loses in professional Dota, but he still gets picked a ton. In this specific meta, he is versatile enough in that he can go into the mid game or he can farm for the late game, which not a lot of heroes that have decent win rates this patch can do. So he's not what I would consider like your A-class guaranteed carry material, but he's definitely a good hero right now. I think he's in a good place.
Okay. Now we see Lion picked up by University of Iowa. There's a hero that I enjoy watching. I enjoy playing. I think a lot of fans enjoy him too. Lots of lockdown. Very, very strong against a couple of these heroes, especially that Zeus. If he can get up onto Zeus before Zeus spots him and sort of line up his full combo with a little bit of help from a friend, Zeus can have a very hard time moving forward. Anti-Mage is going to get picked up, but not where I thought he might go. So he is going to come out for University of Iowa. What do you think about that addition to their lineup?
It's a little weird for me.
Do you think it's a deny pick? Like they thought maybe that was going to get picked by their side, didn't want to waste a ban on it, and maybe we can make it work?
I think they're planning on being aggressive to open up space and try to knock down towers for fast battle fury. But Anti-Mage does well into the magical damage, right? Of
true.
the Venomancer into the Zeus. There's not a
Fair point.
ton of lockdown, and there's no reliable lockdown for RIT. So let's get that out of the way. There are good reasons to pick up Anti-Mage. Now, here are the reasons to not pick up Anti-Mage. First of all, you've got the Stone Remnant Silent Stun combo, which can be very devastating. Also, the fact that there's not a lot of threats that your team has to offer to protect the anti-mage through the mid game into the strength of an Earth Spirit Venomancer. If those two heroes specifically just play really well for RIT, anti-mage won't have any space. The Nyx Assassin is going to be really valuable against the Lion specifically during that time. So anti-mage isn't looking to get, well, yeah, I am having trouble foreseeing exactly how he opens up his space. And if his team does a good job opening space, he's going to fit this perfectly. Like, our RT don't really have a very good response to him. But if he doesn't get the space early, it's just not going to work. The Gyrocopter is going to be the ban here, by the way.
All right, so a good ban by them. Maybe they're listening to the draft. Who knows? Ban him out and looking for their, I presume, hard carry for their team.
Probably Morphling now, coming out of RIT.
Okay.
If I had to guess. Right.
Interesting. I will say this: as we wait for the pick, I'm gonna count on you, Gorgon, in this game. It's gonna be CK. I actually kind of like that. I kind of dig it. I think CK is underutilized. I think he fits some of their strategy with the push potential. It should be pretty interesting, though. Anti-mage with the Battle Fury could cause some trouble there. Will be fun to watch. But here's what I need to ask you. I need to ask you to help keep an eye on the Earth Spirit silence for me regarding the anti-mage. I will be the first to admit to everybody here, I don't play a lot of Earth Spirit. I sort of despise the hero, just in the context of he ruins my life. So if you do see that, if I see a silence come through and I get very confused, help keep track of that for me, as Earth Spirit is somebody that I'm not as experienced with.
So keep in mind that the silence geomagnetic grip will probably be one of the first things to get some maxing out. So the silence is probably going to be through this portions of the game where anti-mage is going to be ganked will probably be about 3 seconds long. 3 to 3.5 seconds, which is a pretty sizable silence if you're an anti-mage, and you're also going to be taking a stun, and there's a lot of burst damage. Anti-mage is not going to get a ton of spell shield early, most likely, which means that he is vulnerable to burst damage while he is trying to farm up that Battle Fury. So early rotations onto the anti-mage could be the recipe for success here. Chaos Knight does also have a reliable stun with Chaos Bolt. It is disjointable, but if anti-mage is silenced and the Chaos Knight is around, he can set up for the stun for the Nyx, and it's just a wheel of wonderment that can really hurt this anti-mage.
Should be pretty interesting. Now, the last pick was a Viper, who is incredible. One of the only heroes, in my opinion, who ruins Zeus's day in the mid position. So we should, I would assume, see a Viper go into at least
That's
one
an offlane Viper.
You think so? You think they'll put the mid?
I think it's an offlane Viper. I think it's Death Prophet mid anti-mage farming.
Okay, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what they choose to do. It looks like it could also be a 2-1-2 potentially. Curious to see what anyone's got up their sleeve. Last Tonight chart is up for you guys. We did have 2 disconnects, and let's take advantage of this moment to do the introductions before things get chaotic. As guys, this is an elimination match. Whoever loses is done. Whoever wins goes into playoffs and continues their hunt for the trip to DreamHack. So this is a big game. We're excited about covering it, and the lineups for Game 1 of this best of 3 series between University of Iowa and Rochester Institute of Technology. For RIT, we are going to have Sext playing the Chaos Knight. We're going to have Wirt 765 playing the Banana Mancer. We're going to have Haktar playing the Nyx Assassin. RIT will be playing the Zeus. And last but certainly not least, the man, the myth, the master of being banned, the Earth Spirit, we played by Matau32.
All right, and here for the Radiant side, University of Iowa, we've got Shark Mangler keeping it sick on the Viper. Vinny blinking around on the Anti-Mage. Vink is going to be on the Death Prophet. Game over, shambling around on that Undying, and number 5 is giving you the finger on the Lion.
That is exactly the way the lineups are going to break down. It should be a good match. My name's Toffees. I'm joined by Gorgon, the Wonder Cow, as we get excited for a big night of collegiate Dota. Guys, don't forget, we have more than just Dota. If you're into college esports and you want to support it, follow the channel, because we have everything from CSGO to StarCraft to, well, that other game, League of Legends, as well as Hearthstone and beyond, more being added all the time, and more options for teams next year. So if you're watching, you're saying, I want to get a team together, I want to play for $15,000, I want to go to DreamHack, all expenses paid, courtesy of Asus Republic of Gamers. Well, time to get your team gathered, time to start practicing, and time to get ready for next year. Because, Gorgon, these teams have proved time and time again, those at the top, those going to playoffs, they are far from pushovers.
This is going to be an interesting miss from both teams in terms of the rune. They're just going to split the runes 50-50 and break into their lanes.
So let me ask you this theoretically. Both teams set up for an ambush on the opposing team. Both rolled all 5 up. Who would have had the advantage if that had broken into a 5-on-5 fight?
Give me a second for a quick calculation here. It would have been University of Iowa, I think, if they did have Tombstone early.
All right, well, there you go. So maybe RIT did set a trap, whereas Iowa just sort of moseyed together, so that may have accounted for a bit of a break even. That said, nothing happens. We're going to keep it slow as we roll into the beginning of the game here, and you were correct. It looks like Vink will take the mid position on the DP, and Ritz will do everything he can to make life difficult for that Death Prophet in this mid lane. Down the bottom, it is going to be a 2-1-2 coming out of Iowa as it goes Vinny and Lion down to the bottom lane, and they'll run into Sext and Wirt. So it looks like across the board, these guys, well, I guess I should take that back, is Matau is doing, what's his plan here? What's he working on?
This is just the standard of Spirit play. He's trying to get a gank early on this mid, or at least force this mid out. Here's going to be the attempt. He wants to push back, but he's not going to get into position for it. He wants to apply enough pressure on this Death Prophet to get her to play back and give the Zeus some space, and then he will collapse into this and make an aggressive tri-lane, I assume. But for right now, the CK is playing at a major farming disadvantage. They can't afford to have Matau out this long, to be honest.
Makes sense. And he is sitting at a
He's going to try to roll and push one more time. Matau is. He's getting ready.
Vink,
he doesn't even have push yet. He didn't wait until he has the push.
Nope, he just stuck around. He put some damage out. Vink taking a lot of it. It sounds like they almost have their margins, but the siphon is there, and Vink will be able to fall back safely. Burns a lot of health. Matau, though, still level 1 as he looks like he's going to slow jog down towards the bottom lane, just like you called there. Was that worth the time spent? I mean, if that happened before 120, maybe. But when you're starting your jog at 2 minutes, it's a little worrisome.
It's, I think, too early to call. It depends on how much of this
back.
advantage Zeus manages to retain after the bottle comes out. Now, it did force Death Prophet to get a healing salve, right? So that's a easy 3 creep advantage going the way of the Zeus on top of the extra creeps that he's getting because of this. So
no, he's going back. He was spotted by a Radiant Ward that they put here above the rune position. Matau is coming up. Death Prophet should know that he's there, so Vink does have to be relatively careful. And he does have both. He's got the 2 points now that you were talking about. He picked up stone. I'm sorry, just the 1 point. I don't know why I said 2. He's still just got that rolling boulder. Ritz is a little bit short here, so he's got to be careful. And meanwhile, Viper gets picked off on the top lane. So we missed that first blood, as it was a good combo of, I guess, the Reality Rift?
You know, it was Chaos Bolt Reality.
Zeus goes down to a charge by Vink. Matau tried to make it happen with the boulder. In comes a TP from 5. He gets the stun. Matau is going to go down as well. And it's a 2-for-1. They got Viper top lane. Drew my attention there, and they made a really nice double play down in the mid. So
the rotation to bring the CK up top instead of doing this aggressive dual lane was a smart rotation, I think, here for RIT. The fact of the matter is that CK cannot contest into this lane unless they have all 3 of their non-cores down here, right? Unless they have, both of their supports in this lane with their core. In the mid lane, that was a really bad engagement. Not only did they lose 2 heroes, but the Earth Spirit is struggling for levels. The Zeus is also going to start falling behind in levels if the Earth Spirit doesn't leave this lane because he is splitting. Zeus is already behind by about a quarter of a level.
Now keep in
mind, that's just going to get wider.
As we sort of watch this game unfold, these players are in an interesting situation. These aren't pro players. These are collegiate players. They're students primarily who enjoy playing Dota and started a team. They, I doubt, have in their Dota career had the kind of pressure that they have tonight. This game, this best of 3, literally determines whether or not they get to move forward in a tournament, a very big tournament. Meanwhile, in the mid, Vink is caught, pushed backwards. They should have no problem knocking her down. Bink turns around, does get a nice triple up, but it's not going to be enough. Does a little damage to say, hey, this is what you get for hurting me. But at the end of the day, they make it 2-2. Sext having a lot of trouble up against Shark Mangler. The second that rotation happened, Shark Mangler did a great job of sort of taking it to CK up here on the top
Shark
lane.
Mangler is going to be mangled himself here in
this
just
is
a
some
moment.
trouble. He gets caught with the stun. That'll slow him down. He's in nice and deep. Reality Rift is still up. Does he have the cast range to close it? It will once the slow gets out from Wirt. There's the follow-up stun. The roll from Mattel. He didn't even have to use the Reality Rift. He just saved it. Actually, or did he use that? I don't know.
He didn't have the mana.
He didn't have the mana.
He didn't. He had to mango just to get the chaos ball
I gotcha.
earlier.
Didn't matter, though. He had the slows and the stuns from his friends. And as you know, you get by with a little help from them. As I get a nice pick off, it goes 3-3. This game is in a dead heat with no real XP advantage and no real gold advantage to speak of. If you look at the CS coming out of the middle, this Death Prophet is only 15-1 to the 26-8 of Zeus. Is that potentially a problem as we move into the beginning of this late early game?
Well, the Death Prophet does have 2 kills, right?
That's
so when you look at net worth, they're neck and neck. And Death Prophet's going to try to get another kill here in the mid lane. She's diving pretty deep.
She's got the health. Can she do it? One more right click will finish the job. Oh! Uphill, no miss. Down goes Zeus.
She does have Exorcism as well. If she needs to defend herself with the bottle Exorcism, she probably can.
She puts
there
it
it
out.
is.
In comes Sext. He wasn't prepared for the Exorcism. So much damage. He goes down. She's got the carry. She's got the Earth Spirit. Vink will die, but she will die a happy wraith as she takes out 3 for the price of a dive and an ultimate, and that was well worth her time and trouble.
I don't think that they realize. No, they must have. She's almost level 8. She's had that Exorcism for a while. They honestly, RIT should have known better than to engage into that. Even with her as low as she was, the Exorcism does so much damage when you're that close. As a Chaos Knight, you have to get right up next to it. And the shorter the arc, geometrically, the shorter the arc that those spirits have to go out, the more damage they do. So the closer she is to her target, the faster that target will die. So for a hero like Chaos Knight, that's actually really, really big deal. Talking like 25% more damage just because of where Chaos Knight is located relative to where, say, a Zeus would be located.
All right, let's take a look at the top lane, see what we're doing up here. Shark Mangler, who's had a little bit of a tough start, is sitting at level 6 with those sickly brown boots. Down on the bottom, it's Vinny at 5, trying to find himself the farm that he needs. Back to the middle. Okay, Z and Wirt. I thought they might try to make something happen, but Z's going to go back and happily just continue the farm game that he's had here. What do you think? Like, where are we at in this game? Does anybody have a distinct advantage? I mean, when you say gold, it is 1,500.
Oh, down bottom.
Oh, never mind. In the bottom, 5 under attack. Jumped by Sex. Nice double stun. That will do the work, but here comes game over. He throws down a tombstone. Vinny on the chase, and I assume that they will let them go as Sext and Hector will walk away having sacrificed the lion.
In terms of who has the advantage, wow, excuse me. In terms of who has an advantage here, I would say Iowa does. They don't have a massive advantage, but I can see them steamrolling from this position. The anti-mage is not farming nearly as well as I think maybe...
I'm going to interrupt you as we go to top where Shark Mangler, a TP came in from Sex. The second was off a cooldown. Shark Mangler wasn't ready for it, and all it needed was a 1-shot, 1 stun, and dead under the tower. So Shark Mangler a bit too far forward, and he pays the iron price. That will put him... Oof. Tough stuff.
Despite the fact that Chaos Knight has been rotating around and doing a good job of being involved in kills, he hasn't been getting very much gold for it. True. The anti-mage is still a solid 400 gold ahead of him in terms of net worth. The Death Prophet is 1,000 gold ahead of the Zeus. Death Prophet is an extremely momentum-based hero, very hard to kill with sustainable damage. You really have to nuke her to kill her. The Zeus has some nuke, but other than that, they have a lot of just sustained damage. The Chaos Knight beats on you for a little while, right? The Earthshaker will, or the Earth Spirit will stun you for a while. The Venom does damage over time. Death Prophet doesn't really care about most of that. What Death Prophet cares about most is going to be Vendetta and Lightning Bolts. That's pretty much it.
All right.
But, and if she gets out into a lead, it's going to be difficult to shut her down.
And so far, let's take a look at. It looks like
They're
they might be
trying to-
trying to stop that as in comes Hector. He's got the level 6. He wanted to come in and use that Vendetta, but she will fall back as if she smelled something awry. He'll go to the high ground and just wait for Vink to move forward with this creep wave. She will do a good job of slowing it down, trying to choose her fight. Pings it out and suspects that something is up and will fall back very smartly into her safety net. So did she just pick up on that because of the fact that everyone was missing and it was just a good quality play by Vink?
I don't see any way that she would have seen. They have no river wards up, and obviously the creeps didn't see the Nyx, so Nyx wasn't in tower range. She just had good map awareness, as far as I can tell. Maybe that was a lane call as well,
Possibly.
with the bottom lane saying, "Hey, Nyx has been missing for about 30 seconds. Be careful."
Hector will then go back to the bottom lane, try to soak a little XP off of the camp pull, and Vinny thinking about trying to make life tough for him. Now we do see Z going to go ahead and make sure that he refills the bottle. Up on the top lane, we've got 3 as they're going to do their own pulling and try to make something happen. Here they go. They do. Shark Mangler in trouble. The roll, the reality rift, the stun. It's just so much lockdown. Mangler will die again. We see number 5 come in, and he gets up a stun, but it costs him his life. He comes in to help, ends up dying, and makes it a twofer. Game over. Can't afford to fight into this right now. Zeus will pop the ulti. In the mid, we see Death Prophet go down on a nice rotation by Hector, and all of a sudden, it's a bloodbath. Is 3 from Iowa die. Important, it's worth mentioning, that puts Viper at an 0-4. Back to the top lane, where Undying came too far forward, and they re-engaged on him. That makes it 4. Across the board, in the last minute and a half, they've killed 4 of University of Iowa's players.
Yeah, at the same time, that entire period, Anti-Mage has had complete free run of the bottom lane, and in the last, basically in that duration, from when RIT started setting up that gank with the Earth Spear up top, and to right now, Anti-Mage got about 1,000 to 1,500 gold, just passively and from creeps. Right?
You can't again on Vink in the mid. Lots of damage. The stun misses. Vink dodges it. Gets up the drain on Z. Z can't break it. Didn't have the mini stun. He'll go down. Hector cannot chase. Has to back away. But meanwhile, on the bottom, 5 is backing, taking a lot of damage from the pulse, but he won't survive. He goes down, and Viper dies for the 5th time. Game over makes a move with the tombstone, but a great TP to safety.
He's dead.
For the guys from the top lane. Here comes the roll. Mattel putting in some work. Undying thought he could man up. Can't do it. He goes down, and Sext comes in. He is taking a lot of damage. He stays in tower range. Curious choice there. I think he had to decide, take the tower shot or kill the tombstone. That said,
he could have just walked away from the tombstone much earlier instead of trying to knock it down. He wanted the gold. It was greed. Yeah. He wanted the 75 or 150, whatever it is, free gold. Depends on what that tombstone level is, 3. So yeah.
Gold has returned to RIT's favor, as has the XP. This Viper is nothing short of sort of a non-factor at this point. His farm is below the Banana Mancer. He's just having a really hard time, I think, staying relevant in this game.
Anti-Mage is still way out ahead.
That's true.
I mean, he has been given free reign, and remember, in terms of late game potential, they're going to try to grab him right here.
There they go. They're going to make their move. Vinny tries to doesn't try, successfully blinks away. There's a bit of hesitation on the Impale, so they'll back him out of lane for the first time in a minute. There they go again. Sex goes in on Shark Mangler. He's got a little bit of help from 5, wants to make the save, but a huge kick and roll from the Earth Spirit doing work. Shark Mangler in some trouble, but here comes the Vink. The Cavalry is on the run. They lost the Lion, but they turned it around, and they're going to get the double. Nice rotation to really make that pan out. Viper ends up dying as well, so it's a 2 for 2 on the top lane. Death Prophet ultimate burned, so they are going to try to push this tower, but you know what that means? Free farm for the anti-mage down on the bottom lane.
Yeah, he continues to just go to town down here. He's just munching away. Up top, this tower will probably go down as well. The Nyx is going to try to be a jerk, but there's just nothing he can do. Wow, he's actually going to get that deny. That's pretty impressive.
Nice deny by the Nyx. Meanwhile, on the bottom, middle tower under assault by the Banana and his friends. And they're pinging it out, saying we should try to defend this. They're going to pop the glyph, and they'll back them off. No big problem there. Meanwhile, Vinny got a little greedy. Wanted to try to finish the tower. Sext gets some damage on him, but Vinny says, no thank you. I've got an easy escape right now as he continues to work on that Battle Fury. Claymore up as well as Perseverance. He is close. We're looking at a 16-minute Battle Fury.
Yeah, maybe even faster than that. What does he have coming out? Yeah, no, it's going to be faster than that. It'll be like 15, 20, something like that. Unless he gets ganked.
Yep. Well, and they deemed to do that because a 15-minute Battle Fury could cause a lot of trouble for RIT as they move into the next stage of the game. Hactor going to come forward here. There is no vision up. He's sort of doing the, do you have vision? Do you have vision? Do you want to go on me? And they are not. So Hactor's going to come through, wraps around Shark Mangler. They've got 4. They brought everybody in. Venomancer going to throw down everything he can to try and stop them. Shark Mangler happily takes the extra gold, and Hactor will still be walking in circles, throwing out some body blocks, makes a move on Mangler, gets the double stun, but can't really go into a fight. He was just there to contest and push backwards. On the bottom, Vinny under attack. In comes the stun. Sex makes the close. He's locked in place. He goes down. Massive kill. They got Lion as well. Lion dropping very low. Mattel wants to keep the fight going. Down goes Lion. He is going to drop. And, man, Anti-Mage dies very, very close to completing that Battle Fury. That'll send him back. Meanwhile, in the middle, game over under attack. Not before he puts up the tombstone. Hector in some trouble. The Siphon comes out, but Vink with the mini stun. Huge TPs from the bottom lane to try and make this happen. And they turn around. They get a triple across the map. They'll push into the gravestone. They're going to knock it down, and this tower should be described as dead meat going forward.
Yeah, they will group up probably to grab that tower. Anti-Mage did just get set back. He probably honestly would have had his Battle Fury right now if he didn't get ganked. So that was a really, really nice play by RT, realizing that they have to prioritize that target before he gets that first big major item on. Yep. I will say this poor Lion has just been not in the right place over and over and over again. He's just been just off. He has the heart of gold. He constantly wants to help people who are in trouble, but he just can't offer very much with the aggression that's been coming out of RIT. He ends up just walking himself in and dying. And now he is going to be picked off again.
In comes a rotation. We're going to get up the slow. Follow from behind. There's Zeus. He doesn't even need the mini stun. They finish him before the TP goes off. And you know what? He's got a heart of gold, but you can have a heart of gold and you'll still sink like a rock when you're thrown in the deep end of the pool. And that's exactly what's happening to this Lion as he's been desperately trying to keep his carries alive. Vinny gets denied. No, he got it. Okay, so he got the destruction on the tower, and he's going to run for the hills, but the stun comes in. Great play by the Earth Spirit. The silence as well. There's the pullback, but he manages to blink away. The question is, will it be to safety as they are collapsing on all sides? This Earth Spirit is lights out with that boulder. Expertly targeted every time, and they get a kill on the Anti-Mage, and I think that they'll happily trade that for the push on that tower. And now they might get Shark Mangler. Vink set a high ground attack. He wanted this to happen. He wants to go on him. Goes up in the air, thrown up with the Yules that he just revealed to them. Sex Ed taking a lot of damage, turns back on Vink. Here's the pull. Chaos Knight doing work. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3. Lion with the triple stun. Undying will still die on the back end of the Venomancer's poisons, but that is 4 dead and a Lion running for the hills. They tried to set a trap for RIT, and that trap misfired. Boy, did it.
That was a bad engagement, obviously, for University of Iowa. Like, they should have been aware, just moving into that they were going to be playing at a vision disadvantage, even though they would have high ground advantage here. They should have known that there was a ward here because they just got dewarded at that exact spot. The moment they put a ward down, their own ward got destroyed, which tells you our opponent saw us put that ward up and immediately came to count. Yep. So they should have known that sitting on that high ground, if their opponents ran up the high ground, probably they ran up the high ground with confidence, not because they don't know you're there. The Death Prophet ultimate there means that that's going to be on cooldown a little over a minute and is going to buy some space. And this Anti-Mage is not farming nearly fast enough now to make up for how steadily these kills are falling away from University of Iowa's favor.
Speaking of buying space, they're now 5,000 gold advantage, 5,000 XP. Hector pings out, walks through a ward, but says, all right, well, it's just wards. I'll get away. No big deal. Middle tower under some push. We're going to slow down the progress. They pop the glyph to buy a little time. Now the rotation. They got to be careful. It was smoke immediately used by Sex Ed and Matau, the divisive duo who are going to come in here and cause a lot of trouble, and they do. And they move. They find Vink. They know Vink is their major threat right now. They launch everything they got, and they get her down. Game over dropping. That makes it 2. Shark Mangler going to drop. He goes down, and that's a triple. Lion comes in, and again, a second too late with the triple stun, and he's just got to run for safety. But he's not going to, is he? As RZ comes in, hits him with the right click, and that is another quad. And the boys from University of Iowa, they will take a tower on the top. Vinny's going to have to blink to safety here. but he might not even get away. Matau does miss.
He's fine.
Okay, he misses with the shot. I don't know. Matau's been borderline. What's what I'm looking for? ESP.
Been a savant.
Yeah, with some of these kicks, and I was like, man, if he figures out where Vinny's thinking of going, he could have got a kill.
I mean, the thing is, even with that and the silence, he wouldn't have had the roll up. I don't know that he would have been able to catch up before the Anti-Mage just walked away.
7,500 gold, by the way. 7,500 XP. They took the top tower, but I don't know. What does that even
So
mean?
remember in the draft, I was saying I think University of Iowa will do okay if they give this Anti-Mage enough space in order to get going and they ride that momentum. They bought the Anti-Mage space for a moment, for a healthy 14 minutes or so. If they had managed to eke out another 6 minutes of advantage, this game would be going.
You. Well, I'm not going to interrupt you. Keep talking. Shark Wrangler's pretty much just dead again.
Yeah. So, but the problem is they got off to a really good start for the Death Prophet specifically, and then they didn't leverage that into tower pressure. Anti-Mage has pushed down most of the towers that have gone down, essentially, on his own, just kind of split farming. He's fine.
Just barely, though. Like, basically, he saw Venomancer move and knew Venomancer wouldn't do this unless the cavalry was coming, and just hightailed it out of there. So smart to hit the click. Meanwhile, though, Blink was just used by Vinny. It's back off a cooldown here as soon as the silence ends. Can they get him in time? They've got the vision. Vinny will blink away. He should be okay. He's ticking down very aggressively from the urn. Gets away with 100 health left to his name.
Hey, getting away is getting away.
Getting away is getting away.
He only got away because the Chaos Knight reality rifted himself into the trees.
Yeah,
so
that'll happen. Rift, man. What a spell.
But, yeah, it's really hard to see this coming out of University of Iowa because they got off to... It's okay that the Viper didn't get off to a great start. It's okay that the Lion didn't get off to a great start. Those weren't the heroes that you needed to do well. What they needed was the Anti-Mage and the Death Prophet to do well, and they needed to leverage that Death Prophet doing well into favorable tower fights, right? That's basically 100% of the strategy they needed. And then if the Viper happened to do well in addition, it would just give them that much more advantage. They had all of the components for walking into this with an advantage, but they just ended up feeding in a little too much into the machine. And now they are trying to stand up as though they have the equal playing field that they had 5 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago, but they haven't had it for 5 or 6 minutes. And now they're just, it's like children standing up, elementary schoolers standing up to the middle schoolers on the playground.
And again, Anti-Mage caught out. He's got the Battle Fury. He's desperately trying to finish his Yasha, but he can't seem to put 2 and 2 together here as he gets taken out again on the bottom lane. Is he going to go ahead and throw his booster on the ground to get a little extra mana regen? Number 5, very far forward here, being pinged by Haktar. He'll probably just go solo on him. There it is.
Sex
Easy
does have a
finish.
blink as well.
Easy finish. Lion really might want to change his name to Chum at this point in the game because that's really all he's doing is his blood in the water. And I feel bad because Lion's one of those heroes that, he's squishy. And if you get caught out, if you have to deal with something like a Nyx who's got your number, it's very tough to effectively play him. What's up? Oh.
Up top.
Oh, no.
Goodbye.
CK finds Mangler. Good Lord.
Mangler saw that and could have backed out at any time.
Vinny wants to fight. Vinny pops him, wants the Battle Fury, and then blinks away to go farm the creep wave. Sex comes in, hits the stun, hits the pull. Are they just going to GG? Because that felt a little feedy to me.
Yeah, I'm really the Viper died pretty much the same way. I know you didn't catch the beginning of that fight, but it was basically that exact same thing. You just kind of stood there and waited for the CK to end him. It's like death by cop. I don't know. I don't know what University of Iowa does here. The Viper's now 0-10. The Undying is 0-5. The Anti-Mage is 0-4 and did not get off to a good enough start. He was on top of the net worth, but he wasn't on top of the net worth enough to justify the number of deficient team fights that the team overall took. And that's not entirely on his team. I mean, his absence contributes to how bad these team fights go. But at the end of the day, they just don't have anything going for them. Excuse me.
No, here's their chance to try and hold the high ground, which they shouldn't have too much trouble doing at this stage of the game. And it looks like they're going to act like they're going to fade back. The creeps will give away their possible return, and the return does come through. Hactor, the pullback on the DP is going to go up in the air with the Yules, and Vink will be sacrificed. Meanwhile, they go after Shark Mangler. 4 hits will do the job. He drops low, can't stay alive, goes down despite his full wand. Pull on game over, and it looks like they are just inches from living up to the namesake of the Undying, who just went down. RIT needs to take this to secure their spot in the hunt for DreamHack, and it looks like they're doing everything they can to make that happen. Meanwhile, Anti-Mage Vinny going to go ahead and push the middle lane while they are losing the top regs.
Yeah, great. He's gonna maybe, if he's lucky, get a tier 2. They're losing the game right now.
Right.
There's not a better option for him. I mean, all his
He
teammates
can't
do
fight
buybacks.
this.
They could all buy back in mass if they wanted to, but a lot of good it would do them. I don't think they could fight here, honestly. I just don't think they could stand up. They're now 10 to 36.
Right.
They're down several towers of gold. If we pull up the charts, right, it is just mind-blowing. You're looking at 15,000 net worth deficit.
Oh, no.
From, I mean, when I was saying University of Iowa looks like they're in a pretty good position, that was only 13 minutes ago. And
Right.
University of Iowa had a very small, negligible gold lead, but we're in a really good position. The difference 13 minutes has made here is like exponential deficit growth.
Vinny died again. He couldn't escape from that situation. It was a nice play by the Nyx assassin to sort of secure the haste rune, make sure he didn't have an escape option. And I will say this, Rochester Institute of Technology has done a very good job of engineering a strategy that allows them to rotate quickly, collapse on fights, and it feels like RIT always has RIT's back. I don't feel the same about U of Iowa in this particular match. I feel like they feel almost like they're off their pace. Like they sort of got caught early. They weren't prepared for the aggression from RIT. Maybe they underestimated them just a little bit and are sort of caught on the back foot in this match.
I just to give people a perspective here, 'cause I know in the Twitch specifically you can't see the KDs. So taking a look at the KDs here, all but one of the kills for University of Iowa are on the Death Prophet, and half of those were from one engagement that she took that honestly RIT just had no business taking.
And
So a quarter of her team's kills are just like they got lucky because RIT over-engaged into a solo Death Prophet.
I am trying to pull up the KD as often as I can. Hactor is going to go on Vink, misses his Impale, which really was her saving grace as he has become quite the formidable opponent. Also with that Force Staff, and it looks like he's going to have an Ag Scepter up here relatively soon. More than relatively soon. He's about 80 gold away and clearly doesn't have to save anything for a buyback. So he'll have that coming out to him soon. The Ag Scepter is up on the Venomancer. That's been a very potent item combined with the mech in these fights. Just sort of sustaining and making sure that Iowa cannot fight as long as they would like to. And it's been very, very effective. Shark Manglers trying to farm. I thought they might catch him out. They don't. They are going to rotate backwards just a little bit. Looks like Matau with the Invis rune will try to scout forward. Nobody there at the camp, and he will just continue to look for someone to love.
They are going to need a different game if they're looking for someone to love. There's nothing but animosity at this point between, basically, I imagine everyone on University of Iowa, between them and their own teammates, and also them and all of their opponents. Like none of them have any love lost in this game. It doesn't look like it anyway.
Absolutely. Now, keep in mind, guys, we have said we expect the GG, and I do want to touch on this. This is one of those big matches. This is that sort of opportunity. I mean, it's not sort of. This is the opportunity for these teams to go to DreamHack, to play for the big money, to really have the experience of a lifetime. None of these players, or not many of these players, are going to have an option to go pro. But to have a chance to fly to an all-expense-paid LAN at one of the biggest events in North America, the first time DreamHack's ever actually held an event here. He just, what?
No, Zeus just ulted alongside, and that's how far behind the 061 anti-mage is.
Brutal. So anyway, the moral of that story is, I am not surprised if we don't see a lot of GGs tonight before there's no before it's beyond obvious that a team is struggling to win at this point, because crazier throws have happened in the CSL. This is for all the marbles. These teams are going to fight to the bitter end.
You know, I'm not sure that we've seen crazier throws. If RIT lost this game, it would probably be not just the biggest throw that I've seen in CSL. It would probably be the biggest throw I've ever seen in any game, pub or pro or semi-pro. Like, they have this pretty well in hand. And that's not to say that they can't throw it, because you can throw anything if your arm is strong enough. But they've really got to try to lose this game.
Sexad going to fall backwards, got in very deep. Meanwhile, they're just going to keep picking at this tower. We've got this Hector underground, excited to sort of cause some trouble with his Ag Scepter here. And they will continue to move forward. This tower all but doomed. All 5 up on Iowa, and all they can do is watch. 5 taking a lot of damage. Yeah.
He's not pushing. He's not fighting. He's farming a medium camp, and that's what he's doing. He's got his Manta, but it's now he doesn't have buyback, right?
Yeah.
What's a Manta going to do in this particular case?
Oh, he's running back. He's going to health up and see if he can't make an engagement. They have to stop the Megas, and interesting. So they'll keep force staffing Hector forward, but this time it was into a tower. Oops. On the alignment, Hector sticks around. Vink taking a lot of damage. BKB is popped. Dual Scepter for some extra, but it won't be enough to keep him alive. And he will just get melted down. Buyback from the Undying. Sexad gets pushed backwards. Gets the pull. Oh my goodness. What a kick from Matau. And that's a 5-man wipe. The GG comes out. 30 minutes, and Rochester Institute of Technology says, we'd like to go to the playoffs, please. We got at least one more game coming your way, guys. Possibly 3, as both of these teams are fighting for their chance to stay in the running for the DreamHack Grand Final. My name's Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV. You can find my co-caster, Gorgon the Wonder Cow, at the Wonder Cow. And of course, you can follow all of the CSL action at C Star League over on Twitter. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll play some music for you. Hang out in Twitch chat while we get the next game up and running. But before we do, I just want to say, Toffee's out.
We stand where no one's to be found, and I could be the prophet of these unholy truths. Never mind the state that my soul is in.